What's up, fishes? It's your boy Chillfish, and today I'm coming at you with a Cyberse Deck Profile. This was actually requested by one of you guys, which I appreciate, because as you guys know, Cyberse were probably my favorite deck, quote unquote, of 2017. And you know, there's a lot of things coming out with the deck. The new Link monster is coming out, new Cyber stuff. The fact that they are Link Link focus is good. They're not phenomenal, so don't expect this is going to be, bring this to locals and win. I mean, if you have Ash, you can pretty much win the game anyway. But this is kind of like a cheap / competitive budget as much as I could do without compromising the integrity of the deck. So let's get started. I'm only going to be really bringing you a main deck profile and then the extra deck, because side decks I firmly believe are depending on what's playing in the meta. And since this is a very low tier deck, you need to side for whatever meta you need. So we're just going to be focusing on the main stuff. So right now we'll start off with two of the combo starters, two Ram Clatter. This is when it's normaled. When you tribute one monster, you can target one Cyberse monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. Not phenomenal, but if you contribute itself or other Cyberse monsters, you kind of can get the effects rolling. And, its lovely assistant, Ram Claudia, which is basically kind of the same but different. When you normal summon it, you can add one Cyberse from your graveyard, add to your hand, which is why I'm running at one. I don't think it's that phenomenal, but it does help out, and it does give us access to some other cards that we're talking about in just a second. It does give us open up to recycling and reusing our backup secretary, which is pretty much the Cyber Dragon of the deck. If you control a Cyberse monster, or double check real quick, if you control a Cyberse monster, yes, you can special summon this from your hand. So it's kind of like a more restricted Cyber Dragon, but it does help a lot, especially because you want to get your monsters on the board quickly. You want links. As I mentioned in my What to Run video, this deck is really reliant on a lot of engines, which I'll get to the engine pieces after we do the link focus. So these 6 cards kind of, stack, work each other pretty well, all fit each other's style and play style and all that kind of good stuff. The next little, I would say, engine is, 2 copies of Draconet. You only really need 2 because you have a lot more targets than available. Normal summon it. You can normal summon, you can special summon one level 2 or lower. I'm sorry guys, we're reading these effects again. Make sure I give you the most accurate information possible. Summon level 2 or normal monsters from your deck or hand. And since for that being said, we're gonna run 2 copies of Bitron, Big Booty Bitron, 2k defense, and then 2 copies of Digitron, 15 attack. Not too bad, not too shabby. These are pretty much here because, well, you have 4 targets, you have 2 monsters. Other card pieces I'll explain in a minute, which way you run these cards. And these are just great link fodder because you can get into a Link 2 monster pretty quickly, which I'll talk about more in detail in just a second. For the other cards that will kind of help you balance you around in normal summon, special summon things is Balancer Lord. Now you do want to run 2 copies of Balancer Lord. Essentially, once per turn during your main phase, pay 1,000, normal summon 1 Cyberse in addition to your normal summon. So it's kind of like Gem Knight's Wrath Knight, but you have to pay the life point cost. And then if this is banished, you can special summon level 4 lower monster from your hand. So this is kind of a nice little effect. If you banish this, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower from their hand, which does help you create more link fodder and more stability. The fact that it is, it does create an extra normal summon is huge for the deck. You need to max on your special and your normal summon as much as possible. One thing you can do, I don't have in this deck, but you can run is Grinder Golem. That obviously helps out a lot, but it does sacrifice the normal summon, so I'm not sure how well that'll work, but it is an option for you to run as well. Those are basically all the Cyberse you're running. Now we're gonna get into, the next engine, so to speak, the Brilliant engine. So we're gonna be playing with, I only have 2 Garnets and 1 Lapis. Gonna look for a Lazuli to kind of help out with that thing, create some, the normal synergy. And obviously with those targets, with my Earth targets, we're gonna be running 2 Trick Clown as the light targets. This is pretty much when I show you guys Brilliant Fusion. This is the engine you run. Dump it off, use a Brilliant, use Brilliant's effect, dump everything off, use Perform Wage Trick Clowns, pay 1,000, special summon it. You can keep going and going and create good links and everything, just create more fodder and stability. The fact that these are also you're playing a lot of normals if you guys noticed, so we're gonna run another piece. I'm just trying out 2, but I'm debating on going to 3, Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit is at 3 right now. It does help out, it does bring out a lot of normals. You guys notice we ran a lot of, Bitrons and Digitrons, and then your Gem Knights. Now you're probably thinking, this really conflicts with the Brilliant Fusion though, Chillfish, and you're right, it does. However, think about it. If you drew, 1 Garnet, or if you drew your Brilliant, one of the Brilliant Fusions, 2 Brilliant Fusions, and a Rescue Rabbit, you could basically go into other plays. If you have a Link Spider in hand and everything, you can just kind of set up these sort of synergetic plays. Once you realize, oh, Brilliant Fusion's dead, I can't special summon or I can't do anything, you can use Rescue Rabbit, get out your Gemini Garnets, go into a Mrs. Radiant, or use this to bring out your Digitrons, also go into Mrs. Radiant or anything else. So it does kind of help out and just cash each other out. Today I'm running Rescue Rabbit to 3. Yeah, just double checking. And the only hand traps I'm running in this deck, because it is kind of budget friendly, is Ghost, Ogre, Sword Rabbit. Now you can run Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is becoming a lot more popular lately, so that is a good option to replace. And obviously if you have the money, 2 Ash work just as well. Ghost Ogre really helps out the deck. It is also a light attribute monster, so it does help out in case if you ran out of your Trick Clowns or whatever like that. So it helps you out in that regard. Now going on to the spell lineup. One of the big boy, this card, everyone should be running Monster Reborn. Nothing more to be said, especially in Cyberse. This is actually huge for Cyberse. This gives them a nice little edge. Unfortunately, since it's Monster Reborn, it helps out every deck to give them a more competitive edge, but this deck especially because you can recycle your own links, or even better, target one of your opponent's links in the graveyard and special summon it. This is a must in every single deck, but especially in Cyberse. Nothing more to be said about that. Then obviously we're playing, I'm kind of risky, I'm playing 3 Brilliant Fusion because you want to see this as soon as possible. You want to get these combos going because Seraphinite does help out the deck. With that extra normal summon, it does help chain events and everything. And you just want to see it as soon as possible. And if it does become a dead draw, you can kind of set it as a kind of back row surprise. People are afraid of back row at this kind of point with Judgment running around and other things. So, and they can waste a Cosmic Cyclone on it if it's face down. With me, since this deck really wants to go second, Dark Hole, you can swap this for a Geki if you want, but since this deck pretty much wants to go second a lot, Dark Hole is your best option in case you can worry about your opponent's side of the field. I'm running 2 more Cyberse cards. We're going to be running Psionic Background. Again, we're going to run 2. I'm going to read the effect real quick for you guys. Target 1 Cyberse monster you control, banish it. If you do, add 1 Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand whose attack is lower than the monster's original attack. And then during your standby phase, return the monster that was banished. Now you can only activate once per turn, and they are quick effects, so you can do your Balancer Lord, normal summon, do that stuff, banish it with Psionic Background, or Psionic Backdoor, and then get out another summon, and then your next turn, Lord comes back and you can use the effect once again. So it does help out a little bit. I'm running 2 just because it is situational. This does help protect your cards too, in case you're like, oh no, I don't want you to destroy, because it just says target a Cyberse monster. So this can actually target Firewall Dragon, do Firewall Dragon's effects to negate it and do more chaining, stuff like that. Or if you're trying to protect any of your Link monsters or other monsters from being destroyed, this does help as a little bit of protection. The fact that it's a quick spell does help. It's just not phenomenal, unfortunately. Another engine you're running is the Double Summon engine. This is another engine I mentioned in my What to Run video. This is crucial for the deck because it helps you just get out your plays. You can do Double Summon into Balancer Lord and then do more things and create your Link 4s, or you can, once you use Seraphonite's effect to extra normal summon, you can do this again to keep going and just keep stacking. It just helps, and it's kind of the big crux of the deck, unfortunately, but Double Summon is great. I recommend picking up a cop playset, guys, for pretty much almost every deck right now in the format. This is a very good engine. It's a 3-card engine, so it's easy, especially with everyone playing Spirals knows this. You can activate this just to either activate a card to get out of your hand or try to use its effects. Never lived to see the day where Double Summon would be relevant, but there you go. Now the last cards you can run, like Soul Charge and everything, but I feel like it's just the life point cost is a little hefty for the deck, but I'm also running Back to the Front. Now you can run, if you want to spice it up more, you can run Call the Haunteds, you could run, Soul Charge if you want. Nothing's wrong with that. I'm just doing Back to the Front because since it is a trap, you can do it after everything's destroyed, use it on your opponent's effect, and kind of offers you a little bit of protection that way. 1 card in debating running to 2. I'm playing a 1 just because I'm maining this. This is a better side, obviously, but I'm maining this Dimensional Barrier. Now you can run 2 if you want. This really helps out because it protects all of your links. Granted, if you're playing against a link-based deck, it doesn't help you that much, but if you're playing a deck that utilizes multiple engines, but to go into something, you can do this. There's no effect to you, so to speak. Now, this does hurt. This can kind of hurt you if you're ready to go into a Brilliant Fusion play, but since you're running mostly links, it kind of protects you. So, there's the option for you. 1 warning, because it's warning. 2 strike, because I feel like 2 is enough for back row protection, and obviously the big boy, Solemn Judgment. Now, Solemn Judgment is really debatable. Now, I understand that, it pays half your life points, but it does offer you that negate. And if you are going second, you can kind of utilize that to your advantage. Hopefully go for an OTK. If anything, though, if you're afraid of paying that much life points, you can swap this out for Soul Charge. Or, like I mentioned, another Dimensional Barrier. The choice is pretty much yours. And wrapping this up, we're going to go into the extra deck. I'll be starting off with the 2 fusions, playing 2 Seraphonite because I'm running 3 billion fusions, so 2 Seraphonite is a good ratio in my opinion. Get you the extra normal summon. They are Earth, so you can use this to make Mrs. Radiant plays. Need I say more? Moving on, running 2 Link Spider. You could run 3 if you want, but I'm running a lot of normals in the deck. If I draw a Lapis or if I draw a Garnet, that's kind of dead in my hand. This helps me synergize, or Digitron or a Bitron. This does help you create that. If you got unfortunate and drew 2 Gem Knights, you could just go, okay, normal. If you drew 2 Garnets, it wouldn't matter if you drew Garnet and Lapis. That's kind of why I'm running Lazuli versus, yes, that's why I'm running Lapis versus Lazuli, pardon me, because it is a normal target. So you can normal summon her, get Link Spider, special summon something else, go into a Link 2, keep going. It's also an Earth, so it goes into your Mrs. Radiant. All that kind of good stuff. Now, one of the OP cards, just because I think it's a very good Link 2 that helps you out, not so much your opponent, is Underclock Taker. This is popping up everywhere. One of the greatest cards that come out of Extreme Forces, in my opinion, and it's a common, so super cheap. Me, our buddy Blaine, and Conan Band were talking about this before the video. Like, why is this so popular? I honestly think it's just because it gets you a Link zone that points to you, and not really your opponent. Because it's kind of weird pointing off to the the right, but it helps you out more than your opponent. You can't do its effect. It's a Link 2. Helps you just further your combo plays. And then obviously you got the 1 Mrs. Radiant because Earth decks, everything's pretty much Earth in this deck, and it does help you re-synergize your Seraphonite. If this gets busted, it can bring back a Garnet play. If you got rid of all your Garnets by accident and you still have Brilliant Fusion hiding, you can kind of do this to kind of help you out. Other synergy and everything like that. Mrs. Radiant, one of the best generic Link 2s probably in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then kind of running more towards our other 2s, I'm running Binary Sorceress because you have the protection. They're better than Honeybot, and also to help out with protection and Link 2 stuff. 2 Proxy Dragon. You could obviously probably cut one of these out if you're thinking, there's a lot of Link 2s, but I like running 4s because it does open options, and in case if one of your cherries shows up, you have extra copies, because no one's really expecting Binary Sorceress. But everyone's expecting Proxy Dragon. Now, I'm just going to tackle the Link 3s at once. 2 copies of Tri-Gate Wizard, because it's Tri-Gate Wizard, need I say more, drawing energy, drawing power, all that kind of good stuff. 1 copy of Decode, because it's Decode Talker, just kind of helps you out. This was a lot better when Gofu was at 1. RIP, because Gofu and Dandelion were really crucial for this deck, but Decode Talker still helps you out to get kind of protection. And then finally, just another, Link 3 that I probably go into more because it just offers, protection, is Gaia Saber, just because it points down to you. But it helps out a little bit. And obviously the big boy himself, the 1 Link 4, the king of the deck, Firewall Dragon, because it's Firewall Dragon. It is a Cyber, so any Cyberse protection or any Cyberse support cards you have do help protect Dragon. It's Firewall Dragon. Now it is at 1, so obviously for budget players, this means it's probably going to be going down. It is getting a reprint soon. I'm not sure when, but I have heard rumors. And plus, guys, it's the protagonist card. This thing's going to get 105 reprints, like everything else has in Yu-Gi-Oh! We won't get Ash Blossom reprinted for eons, but we'll get 100 of these by the end of the year, I know it. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much the profile. It's not very special, it's not very flashy, but I like it. And then kudos to the subscriber who commented on it. Name will be at the bottom of the video, saying thank you for supporting this. This is just a fun deck. If you're trying to play something fun, casual with your buddies, getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just having Table 500 or a Scrub League tournament, this would be one thing I'd recommend. Thank you guys so much. So look out for this in the future, and I'll see you guys later.